think I have the answer to this one. Eric in Washington, D.C. I don't know for sure. We'd have to ask. But Eric in D.C. says, who wrote the GameSpot review for Castlevania 64? The review on the website is listed as staff, but if you go to the Wayback Machine, it's listed as John Morris. John Morris was a character in Castlevania Bloodlines,
right? And
there wasn't a John Morris on the staff page. Was he a freelancer and the name was a coincidence, or was this some kind of joke?
Pen name.
Well,
so that was not, yeah. So we used a lot of freelancers back then, so there would have been people who were not necessarily on the staff page. I remember that game being reviewed by John Riccardi of 8.4 now.
Yeah.
There was an era when we were all part of the same company, when EGM and GameSpot were part of Uncle Ziff's Playhouse, and and there was a brief period of time where some of the EGM folks wrote some reviews for us. I've talked about it before, where many of them would not take the assignments because I was assigning them the things we couldn't get to, which means it was not the top tier biggest games, because I was reviewing those. Motherfucker. but John definitely did it. Like Craig Kuyava and John Riccardi, I remember doing a ton of awesome, very helpful work for us. I remember Castlevania 64 being a Riccardi review, but I don't know for sure. Maybe he would know. But there you have it, Eric. And then at some point, all those got changed to staff. A lot of reviews, unfortunately, got changed to staff.
Yeah, why is that?
That sucks.
Well, the reason I think in that case actually is super shitty. That when a bunch of those folks left to go start gamers.com.
Oh, fuck.
A lot of reviews that had their names on them got changed to staff.
God, that should be like illegal or something. You're like robbing
Gross.
someone of resume material.
We did not always make the best calls. We did not always push back to the extent that we maybe should have on some things, and and that shit went down. Those gamers.com people with their Thresh money sure did talk a big game. Anyway, yeah, no, but also as GameSpot has changed CMSs and technology and all this other stuff over the decades, it has gotten harder and harder and harder to just punch whatever name you want into those fields. So for people who were not current authors, in some cases, those would just get swept up in some tech change and just get fucked up and lost. And so I think a lot of that stuff happened as well. I know there was back then, I think that was a straight up deliberate act, if I remember correctly.
What year around was this?
This would have been the late 90s, early 2000s, probably. I don't know.
That's exactly when I thought that happened. That seems like it seems like a practice that would have been more typical back then.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to figure out, when did gamers.com come and go? But maybe it would be, maybe that would help dial it in a little bit. But I know, there was a handful of the EGM editorial staff at the time left to go to Gamers when that was launching, when Thresh was launching gamers.com.
I don't know.
Quake champion, Ferrari owner, John Romero's Ferrari, Thresh. That Thresh.
I don't remember that.
Gamers.com? Not a lot of people do.
What year? You say exactly? What year exactly?
This probably would have had to have been, when did Castlevania 64 come out? Because it probably would have been sometime after that. Because I couldn't find a gamers.com. So that came out in 99. I'm going to say turn of the century. Let's call it somewhere around there. That thing probably happened. And I don't remember Bob Kaleko, who worked at GameSpot and then went on to do PR for Blizzard and much stuff. He was at Gamers for a while. I don't know. There was no one remembers all those sites. Remember Happy Puppy?
Yes, I do. I frequented Happy Puppy.
That was a mid 90s, a 96. That was when GameSpot launched in 96, the Happy Puppy was a site at that point. I don't know. I don't think they made it much longer past 97 or so. Remember when IGN was owned by a company called Snowball?
Vaguely,
this is before my time.
You couldn't talk about it without talking about, what Snowball meant in Smith parlance.
Oh no!
Like a very unfortunate name for them.
Oh no!
A very fun burn for us.
Sure.
That's nice.
Oh dear.
Yeah. I don't know. There was a billion different websites. Some of them are still, Blues News still around.
Is it?
Oh. Is it? I assume so.
I wrote for One Up once
Blues
or twice.
News.
This
Blues
is not
News
the dog.
still around. Blues News.
That's
top
Blues
story.
Blues.
Sifu released.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something really dumb that I like the look of this website because this is what the internet used to look like.
Yep. Yeah, that's a useful web page. You go there, it's like here's the top thing. Here's what the fuck happened. It's a goddamn blog.
Is Fark.com still around?
Probably.
Does it still look like how it looked in
Probably
2000? I'm going to it.
Yes. Yes and yes.
Wow.
Wow.
There's no way this is not just completely automated, right? There's just no one clicking.
Fark is like
buttons.
a dig. Fark is like a remember dig?
Yeah,
of course.
Dig still exists?
I think
It
it
does.
It does
Yes,
exist.
it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's totally different now, but it definitely exists.
Remember E-Bombs World?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just going to play this game now.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do.
I don't know. E-Bomb's World wasn't filthy enough for me.
No. You're
I
the
needed
man
style
now,
project.
dog.
I needed to go.
Oh,
I
no.
needed to go all the way to the line.
Oh,
and
no.
then beyond it.
Oh, I know. Okay. Now I know
Chuck
who you
Yeager
are.
of staring at people pooping. That's what I was.
Okay.
If I didn't test the limits, who would? And then one day I gagged and I never looked at it again. That's going to do it for the Bombcast.
Wow. Not an easy exit. Never
Thanks,
is.
everybody, for listening.